Hello everyone, this is the PlayStation Inquisition. Welcome to another video, and I apologize for any stutters I may make. These are uncut as usual, and if you'll excuse me, it's very hot. That's why there's a fan in the background, and I'm gonna have me a drink. Whoa. Okay, excuse me. Alright, so, the video on hand, or rather what you're seeing right now, is the topic of the video, of course. Not Star Wars Battlefront itself. Yes, I bought the game, but not until after everything had settled and EA was done screwing around. But that's not really the main issue here. This video is about playing games in general without the HUD. So I know I got a lot of friends out. There's a lot of gamer friends who play video games. A lot of my fan base. I mean, everyone. We all play games, right? Well, here's my question to you guys: how many of you actually play games without the HUD? You see, it's only recently that I started doing stuff like that, where I would play, in this case, Star Wars Battlefront or Battlefront 2, without any heads-up display, other than perhaps the scopes of the weapons you use. And I find that while it's a bit more challenging to land a clean shot from the hip, the level of immersion that you feel is, well, it's really good. Basically, you feel a lot more immersed in the game. Now, I feel like kind of a deuce because I actually, when I was recording this footage that you're seeing here, I forgot to set my capture card to record the audio. Of course, the reason that was the case is because I had my Blue Yeti plugged into my PS4. Therefore, the capture device was not receiving the audio. Yada yada yada. Basically, so you're gonna have to listen to my ugly voice over top of this. But yeah. So this is my question to you guys: excuse me, how often do you guys play games without the HUD? I know it makes things a lot more challenging, like especially games that rely heavily on in-game menu systems. Things can get kind of dicey or kind of difficult. Excuse me. But in more simple style games, much like Battlefront and Battlefront, Battlefield, Call of Duty. Excuse me. I'm not much of a Call of Duty fan, but I think we all understand multiplayer shooters in general. I think playing a game without the heads-up display immerses you far more into the game. Yes, it's harder to pick out your targets, but that also means that you need to pick out you need to gain more skill, so to speak. And I believe in improving one's skill over time. This is going to be difficult because I'm actually trying to figure out what to say to fill in 12 and a half minutes of video footage. I'm not used to this, damn it. But, well, I guess there's one thing I can say regarding this game, and it ties into a lot of what people expect in terms of graphics, frame rates. That is one thing I will say. The frame rate of this video you're seeing is 30 frames per second. However, that is not the fault of the game I was playing. That is actually the fault of my capture card, the AverMedia Game Capture HD2, which only records 1080p video at 30 frames per second. Now, I've been looking around online for a slightly better capture device that will record 1080p at 60 frames. The thing is, those are both expensive, and a good majority of them require connectivity to a computer. And since I run Linux, that's not really an option. So what I need is a device that can run independently of a PC and still record footage. I suppose I could have recorded this at 720p at 60 frames per second, but then it probably wouldn't look as immersive when you want to see it in full HD. But on the side of on the whole side about graphics, is it just me, or is DICE is DICE one of the very few studios right now that is currently using what's basically photogrammetry, or at least very heavy use of photogrammetry in the development process of their games. I mean, obviously, like people back when people were making the comparison between God of War and any PC game, Frutanga, in his infinite wisdom, and I use the word infinite in the most sarcastic sense, decided to point out the first Star Wars Battlefront, saying, "Look how good this game looks," and yada yada yada. Well, Frutanga, the reason it looks good is because photogrammetry yields extremely high quality texture and what's the word I'm looking for? Terrain assets. Okay, photogrammetry will produce true to life imagery. The only thing preventing it from looking real is whether or not the developers get all the lighting right, which is why DICE did such a tremendous job with the first Battlefront. They had to remove a lot of the lighting data. Sorry if you hear scraping noises, it's my foot. They had to remove a lot of lighting data from the objects after they were scanned in, and then create whole. There's a lot that goes into photogrammetry, but it is something that can be done by the average user. If you're wondering what it's like to create true to life 3D models, you could actually do it yourself just by getting like a cell phone or a digital camera. Go outside, find a subject like a chair or a rock, tree, whatever, and just take a whole bunch of. You can do it one of two ways. You can either take a whole bunch of high resolution photos around the object, or you can do what some other people do, and that's just take a video and slowly move around the object, capturing video. And then when you go on the computer, you extract the video as individual frames, which depending on the frame rate that you shot it at, there will be a lot of. It'll be a slower process, but you can get some pretty amazing results. There's some people who use their cell phones for photogrammetry. In fact, there's actually a cell phone made by Lenovo that comes with a depth sensor, very much like a lot like the original Xbox Kinect, but this device allowed it to scan in geometry in real time. So there's actually some videos on YouTube, if you look, of people who've scanned the almost the entire interior of a log cabin with their phone. And while it looks very crude, I mean, you got to remember, this is something that was done with a cell phone. Don't forget, this is something people can do just with a regular phone camera, let alone a phone with an infrared depth sensor. I think that's pretty cool. I'd like to see more developers make heavy use of photogrammetry. One of my friends on YouTube, Beatmaster, made mention of Euclidean, a company based in Australia, who made this very bold claim about being able to produce unlimited detail using what they called cloud point atoms. Which, when it comes right down to it, what they're doing isn't really that far off from photogrammetry. It's just cloud point data is a little harder to render than polygon data. Not that I'm expecting to see video games start using, point cloud data. That would be kind of jarring. But at the very least, seeing games make larger use of photogrammetry assets would produce games that look absolutely stunning compared to what we used to see. I mean, don't get me wrong. Call of Duty is probably one of the easiest games to run on just about any piece of hardware, barring a few exceptions, of course. But what I'm saying is that Call of Duty never looked very appealing. Okay, let's get this right. Let's get this straight. Call of Duty always looks kind of shite. All right, let's be absolutely honest. Battlefield, on the other hand, looks tremendous, but that's because they make heavy use of photogrammetry. Bleh. I need another drink. Hang on. Gotta love that sparkling water.
Ooh. Excuse me. Belly of the beast.
In any case, yeah, I just like I said, this is an uncut video. It's really hot. I'm bored, and I wanted to do something with some footage that I had laying around on my computer. So yeah, in the end, what do you guys think of the technology behind photogrammetry, and do you think more games should utilize it? Also, what do you think about the the whole concept of a heads-up display? Do you think that playing without it makes you more skillful as a gamer, or makes the... I mean, it's obvious that it makes the game more immersive, but do you think it makes you more skillful if you can actually pull off a good play run without the HUD? That's about all I have time for now, guys. I'm gonna end the recording right here. There's still about a minute or so of silent footage, so I'll just let you guys enjoy that. Until then, this is the PlayStation Inquisition saying peace out. You guys all have fun.